Welcome back, everyone. I hope you are doing amazing. I hope you got your snacks, popcorn, whatever it is, whatever is your preference. And we're off to the next team. Well, we're not off to anywhere. We are staying right here, but we're gonna be checking out our next game, which is by the team Name Pending Interactive. Their name is not pending. That is actually the team name. And then before we begin, make sure to use the hashtag ProtoPlay on Twitter, etc. Share the live stream to promote your games, get that exposure going, And make sure to check out the ProtoPlay website where you can vote for your favorite team. So if you want to have your favorite team be voted as the, audience's favorite, just go vote, just do it. Okay, off to our next game, and I'm gonna be interviewing a member of the Name Pending Interactive, and let's jump right into it, shall we? Here we go. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Hi there, I'm doing amazing, how are you?
Good, not too bad, cheers.
Okay, so let's get started, shall we?
Yeah.
Tell us about your game, your team. Tell us about yourself. What's your name?
So I'm Connor, I'm the team leader for Name Pending and one of the co-programmers. The rest of the team, we've got James, Christina, Veronica and Jack. And our game's Paranormal Panic. It's meant to be a hectic local co-op experience and taking ownership of a paranormal investigation team in this fictional town of Panicville. And you've got to accept contracts from the town's inhabitants to help out during a supernatural outbreak. Only issue is that your team is going to be entirely inexperienced and ill-equipped for the job. So this is the first big job that they've taken on, and they've not got any appropriate tools for the job. So they're using stuff like mallets and cardboard boxes and these radar guns made out of hairdryers to try and capture these ghosts.
I see.
So they run around causing havoc throughout this town and causing more damage than the ghosts themselves. Got to try and package up all the ghost hunting levels, and then
Okay. Another giraffe of content. I love it. Thank you so much.
No worries.
So in terms of genre, it's not really easily pinpointed genre for this one.
Yeah. In our minds we're saying action game, local co-op. We're taking a whole bunch of inspiration from games like Overcooked and Moving Out. Just really we wanted to hammer home that sort of the co-op element for our games. I don't know if we really place it. Action would probably be the closest we could say, but it's sort of its own thing.
I see. That's cool. Is any of your team members a fan of Ghostbusters?
Yeah, it has to be.
With that in mind, what's the inspiration for the game?
Well, that was kind of one of the issues. Whenever we came up with the design, Ghostbusters was always sitting in the back of our mind.
I see.
Constantly telling ourselves, don't make it too much like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So any issue, we'd have to pull it back, try not to. But obviously, it's a huge inspiration for it. The idea came about was we were a group at university working together, and the previous big project we worked on, it was mostly a single player narrative focused game. So for this we kind of wanted to go in completely opposite direction. So it was like entirely focused on co-op experience, but also we wanted to just make a pure game. Didn't have to worry about narrative or story or having to tie too much together. We just wanted to try and make a fun experience itself. So that was the main focus for us.
I see. Cool. Yeah, I definitely can see the sort of weight of you wanting to do a ghost-based game, and then there is obviously the big shark Ghostbusters that many people might relate it to, So
yeah, exactly.
Definitely a challenge there for you as developers, I would say.
Definitely.
Before we get anywhere, I love your visuals. It's very subjective what I'm saying. A very
Thank you.
personal feedback, but great job on visuals. Love
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, so it was Jack, Christina and Veronica and our art team that were mostly focused on that. Really, for the audience we're trying to appeal to, it was wanting to be more of a younger audience. So in keeping with that, like we know we had a lot of assets to do, but we wanted to include a destructible environment and a whole bunch of other stuff. So to do that, we had to try and keep it simple, but in doing that, we also want to have a stylized art style, with quite vibrant colours, large heads on the characters, just trying to make them a bit more appealing
Yeah.
to people that are playing. But no, definitely the art style was one of the things that we're focused on for a while, just to try and get a cohesive look between everything.
Before we carry on, why name pending interactive? Is the name actually pending, or what's going on?
It was for a while.
I see.
Back in university. We've worked on a couple of projects back. It was at Glasgow Caledonian, and we worked as a team before, and it was much the same thing. We had to come up with a name for our team, and for a while it wasn't name pending until we just decided, why don't we keep that as our actual name? And so that's where name pending interactive came from.
I see, cool. You just stick to it, yeah.
Yeah, fuck it, mate, it sounds okay.
Yeah, just roll with it, you know. That's great. The game is looking good, but what's the one thing that is like your baby that you want to show off to everyone? What's the best part of where the project is at now? Of course, yeah.
I think for us it was mostly trying to develop a game that focused on this co-op gameplay for us. It was in university. You spend so much time trying to focus on making a great art style or making the game function, but then it's difficult to spend a lot of time to actually make sure you've got a game that plays fun. Whereas for this, we really wanted to try and focus on that now, just to try and actually have a hectic experience and make sure that the game's actually fun to play rather than just function.
Yeah.
So with that, it maybe only all came together whenever, obviously working during the pandemic has been difficult having to work on a co-op game, but we're all working individually from home. But I think maybe whenever we eventually managed to play it together and see it all come together and see how much fun it was to play as a team, that's sort of when it all came together.
I see, yeah. No, definitely. I mean, fun is the most important aspect of any game, really. So, interesting that you actually mentioned that. Something that I guess upcoming developers need to bear in mind is that beyond making a game functional, etc., you can be really proud of the project because you know the work you've put in. But the game needs to be fun at the end of the day, you know.
Well, definitely. Anytime we had to do any playtesting, it was always that question you hold in the back of your mind, like, is it fun? So, but yeah, as long as we could always bring it back to that point, we knew we were doing something correct.
Yeah. So you mentioned playtesting. So did you have a lot of feedback from the players on the game?
Yeah, it was a lot of things, like maybe just the art style. Earlier on, we were playing with the idea of having more weapons and interactions with the game. Like right now, the players, they run around with mallets, hitting the ghosts, and then use these sort of radar guns to throw them in. But originally we wanted to have a more diverse inventory weapon system, but we felt by making it so wide would be sort of diluting the core gameplay itself. So during playtesting we got feedback just to say try and narrow down the scope for this and design the whole level and interaction around what works. So it was maybe like simplifying the control schemes, the weapon systems, and just making sure that any design decision you make always tries to reinforce the gameplay itself. Yeah.
It seems the chat is enjoying the feature where you can just smash everything in your way.
Yeah.
And I do agree with that. It's great to have that interaction with the level.
There's points where if you're not facing the ghost, you can get possessed, and then you just start causing mayhem yourself. So I remember I was playtesting myself and ended up just obliterating the library itself.
Oh wow.
So it's definitely fun itself.
Yeah, no, the game is certainly it's very well thought out and extremely polished. How much time have you guys had to get to this point of the project?
So it's just from the beginning of transfusion. I think it was 12 weeks, thereabouts. It was an entirely new project. We just came up with the idea at the beginning of transfusion and worked on it since then. And I think that was maybe our driving goal through this, was we wanted to make something as polished as we could to use this as material that could then go on in the game's industry itself. So yeah, it was about 12 weeks of work, I would say.
12 weeks of work.
Thereabouts.
That is impressive. That's amazing. I'm looking at all the teams so far and hearing how much time has been spent and how much work has been done on this project is absolutely amazing. Especially with the current situation in the world. Just huge thumbs up to all of the teams, honestly, guys. You are doing...
Thank you.
Producing magic.
Yeah, like I say, having to work individually was definitely a challenge. And we're trying to spend as much time on the game, working together on it as we could. Often it would maybe do 12-hour days. It's not that we felt we had to, but that we felt we wanted to try and make this as good as we could. So we all put as much time as we could into it to get it to a point that we're all happy about it.
Yeah. Speaking of getting to the point where you are happy, was there anything that didn't make you happy that you would want to change if you could go back?
I would say there's anything that didn't make me happy. Maybe if we had a bit longer, we would like to add a bit more to the game.
Of course.
Originally, we sort of wanted some cinematics or a bit of dialogue system in it. Maybe cutscenes between levels and the likes, but we felt a priority at the beginning was to make sure that we got the gameplay down. And by the time we'd done that, we sort of had to reduce the scope, at least for this stage anyway, to try to get it to a point where we were happy to submit all this. But no, definitely going back, and if we had more time, maybe more variation in the enemies, this cutscene dialogue system would be great. Definitely.
I mean, yeah, just more time really, so...
Yeah, definitely. And whenever we were doing the pitches earlier on, we're talking about how we would pitch this to a publisher and likes, and we're saying one of the, especially because it's a co-op game, one of the main focuses we should focus on, if we were to take it further, would it be online co-op?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's sort of, it was outside the scope that we have at the moment, but definitely taking it forward, that'd be something great to have.
Yeah, definitely. I can see a lot of potential in this game, especially from a streaming point of view. I could see many big faces on whether it's Twitch, YouTube, picking the game up to play with their friends, so these are the sort of things you could tap into as well, which is always a huge potential for your project, yeah.
Definitely, and I think tap into the co-op aspect of it. Originally there was no interaction between the players, so it was really just you hitting ghosts, but we found that interesting most players wanted to smack each other about or throw chairs at each other, something like that, so getting that interaction between players was quite fun.
It turned out to be a PvP game all along.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on. So, has your development plan changed since you enrolled on Transfuser? You mentioned that you obviously started when Transfuser began, right? But did you change your scope in any way because of Transfuser?
Yes and no. At the beginning of this project, we were really only approaching this with the idea to make this a portfolio piece for all of us. So it was good to get the opportunity to work on something of this scale on our own. But then, as we're going through Transfuser, we sort of felt like we had something here. It's a fun game. We're getting really positive feedback from people. So we spent a bit of time thinking, should we maybe take this forward and do something with it? But I think we then sort of stripped back and said, no, we want to focus on making this a portfolio piece and then use this as something to then progress into the game industry itself. But beyond that, I'd say the idea we had from the game sort of stayed consistent throughout. Maybe originally we only planned to have a single ghost in the level when it was... One worry we had was maybe it was going to play a bit too much like Luigi Mansion.
I see.
Ghosts. But and sort of slow down the gameplay, but right from the beginning we wanted something that was fast paced and hectic. So we implemented more enemies and their behaviour is a bit more erratic and fast paced. So some gameplay tweaks like that happened throughout.
I see. Cool. It's nice to see how the iteration sort of changed once you started looking at it as an actual project, Can you talk me through the gameplay, the mechanics? What are we seeing on screen? And before you touch on that, I saw a very funny moment. I'm not sure if you guys in the chat noticed it, but when the players entered the boss room, I'm not sure if it's scripted, but all 3 players started attacking the door as of means of trying to get out to escape from the final boss. And I found it quite... maybe we'll see it here, who knows. Maybe.
I'll say it's intentional. Maybe call it emergent gameplay or something like that.
I see.
Just thumbs up like that. Like one of the things when I first started moving myself, that's when I was possessed by the ghosts.
I see.
And they start swinging the weapons themselves.
So yeah, take me through the mechanics, yeah.
What we would like to have would be like a match screen where you then select your level, and then once the players come in, the countdown starts, and in the top left, whenever you're at the beginning stage, you're given a certain number of goats or on your level. So you've got a radar gun, and you can point that into the direction, and the controller starts vibrating and you pitch. That starts to change whenever you're facing and getting nearer a ghost. You have to hunt down these ghosts, and once you find them, you've got to start smacking them with your mallets. Get them down into these weakened states before you start using these radar guns to try and capture them, package them up into these cardboard boxes. And we took a bit of inspiration from games like Moving Out, where you had to pick up these cardboard boxes and make sure they get back into the van before the ghost ends up escaping themselves. Once you've caught all of them, it then moves on to a boss fight. We planned for each level to have their own unique boss fight with their own mechanics and interactions. So you would go in and much the same, you try and weaken this boss, and you would all need to come together and use these radars to connect with them and capture the ghosts.
I see. I think that's great. It sort of pushes that cooperation further.
Definitely.
Also,
that was one of the feedbacks we got as well. Was really just take that mechanic from the boss fight using the button mash and replicate that throughout the whole level. It sort of promotes that teamwork.
I see. So you store the ghosts in boxes. How secure is that?
Surprisingly well. Yeah. I think that was sort of the theme for this was this team that's sent to exterminate these ghosts. I've got no business being in this business, but somehow it works. They package them up in cardboard boxes and somehow it works. They don't know why, but surprisingly effective.
Okay, it's great. I wonder where they're gonna get delivered. Okay, target audience. Who do you want to play your game? Or is it just anyone?
Yeah, we wanted like sort of all ages appeal.
I see.
But it definitely wanted a sort of a younger audience. But it could range from like teens to young adults. One of the design decisions that we made was we wanted to have as low a barrier to entry as possible. So during the game, there's no fail states. So the way that we grade the levels by the time for completion and the amount of damage caused, and based on that dictates your rank for that level. But we didn't want to get a stage, like, especially for younger players, where you maybe spend 5-10 minutes playing through a level and then suddenly you're shown level failed, you have to play it again. Sort of felt that'd be kind of frustrating. So keeping the control scheme simple, but also allowing these grades to for the player to choose how well they want to do for it, allowed us to target towards a younger audience while also offering this appeal to a sort of all ages group.
I see. That's cool. Yeah, definitely. I feel like these days developers look at making the game less annoying to play or complete, perhaps, and more rewarding. Because I remember the old games; they were brutal. You had to. There was no checkpoints. You fail a level, 10 minutes of gameplay. You just have to do it again.
Oh yeah, definitely look back myself to Sega Mega Drive. As soon as you turn off, so that's it.
Yep.
You start from the beginning again. So it was a challenge back then.
The game is clearly co-op based, right? And I believe you had quite some engagement with the community. Did that influence your design choices, or were you very much focused on your design plan that you wanted to execute?
Definitely from playtesting to taking advice on board. It was like I say, this co-op experience. It was something that we sort of had visualised from the very beginning, and we all had a vision that we wanted to try and achieve. So it stayed pretty consistent throughout, but we've definitely taken on inspiration and advice from people throughout the design process.
I see. We got some questions in rolling from the chat.
Sure.
One, I believe your teammate James is already on it. Is he one of your colleagues? Yeah. He's answering some questions. But you could touch on the player health, and is there any punishment to the player for being caught by the ghost? Or if you could just touch on that.
Yeah, so there's no way to quote-unquote die in the game. Again, it's that way if we felt that you'd get hit so much and then you'd be out of gameplay, we sort of felt that was to punish players that maybe weren't as experienced, didn't have as much control over the gameplay. But instead, you've got the ghost can stun the players, or they can possess the players where the player needs to try and break out of the ghost grasp. All these things come down to give it a time penalty.
I see.
Or the destruction. So on the screen you've got a timer that dictates, what rank you're going to get, and at the end of the level it's meant to calculate how much destruction can cause the round. So each of those will either have an impact on your time for completion or how much damage you've caused throughout the level. Yeah.
Have you thought of maybe having other players, giving them the opportunity to, let's say, revive a player, which sort of pushes the cooperation?
That was sort of an idea that we were toying with as well. One idea that I pushed was if you maybe lost so much health, you yourself could turn into a ghost, and then maybe you would have different mechanics to interact with the level and have a way to get brought back. But just because of the time and the scope, that was less than the cutting room floor. It's definitely something to maybe look at adding in the future.
We're getting some more compliments on the character design of the game.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's great. You mentioned the destruction, so does it impact the score negatively if there is more destruction?
That was another choice you're trying to make.
Because you're giving the players a huge hammer, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna...
Exactly. You're gonna do something like
I want to destroy the level because it's enjoyable,
Exactly. No, that's what I'm thinking, that if we tied up score directly to the destruction, it's sort of like you want to cause as much destruction as you want, but then the score's telling you you're not allowed to. We sort of felt a bit of disconnect. So really all that you've got is a tally at the end. So you've maybe got players that might approach it that want to try and cause as little disruption as they can. Whereas on the opposite side you've got people who want to go through and entirely wreck the building. I know that's me myself. So it's open. You're not negatively impacted at all, but we felt if we did have negative impacts, that would sort of detract from the sort of gameplay we wanted to encourage.
Okay, I'm gonna pinch you an idea, okay? What if the players had classes? Have you considered anything of such things?
Because it wasn't classes, like distinct classes themselves, but different weapons and interaction. I know one idea we were pitching near the beginning was a sort of a water gun idea, similar to Super Mario Sunshine. Something similar to that, maybe blasting those around the levels. So yeah, we thought about the idea of interacting that, but again, it really just came down to time and scope come the end. It was something we could look at adding in the future. Maybe one of the considerations for us was making sure that the levels themselves are built around these mechanics.
I see,
So right now players all have hammers, so that really encourages all this destruction. But if we were going to add in any more weapons, we wouldn't just want it to be something small that's added on. We'd really want these tools to be core to the actual design of the game itself.
Yeah, and that's sort of also opens up like a window of you having the players to pick their teams carefully for each level to tackle it in a certain way, which is great. So in terms of mechanics, you can hit the ghost and you can hover it in. And is there any special ability players can charge, maybe as they destroy things, or have you considered that?
So as the ghosts run away, you can use this wave to be that slows the ghost down itself. The thing that we're trying to do is really just focus on that simple set of interactions. We ran out of time to implement it, but we've got a trap system in the game whereby you the player could pick up the ghosts and throw them into, say, the toilet, and then it ends up getting sucked in the toilet.
That's
and
great.
Damage. So we didn't manage to implement them in this build, but the system's there, so we could do it in the future if we did want to add and stuff like that. That was an idea that we were really quite keen on doing, and we'd like to go back and implement.
Yeah, you definitely have an insanely solid base, and I think I'm actually wondering myself if the fact that you looked at it at first as a portfolio piece and not a project maybe influenced how sort of loose you were with your design, and maybe that helped you make this project the way it is. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. Because at the beginning of this, I always felt uncomfortable saying that I was the team leader of the game, because I felt that we all worked so collectively in the game. We all had so much input in the direction of the game and how it was going to look, that it was really a group effort in this. So yeah, as a portfolio piece, it really, we were allowed to be a lot more fluid and give a lot more of ourselves into the game.
Yeah. That's very interesting. What's your ambition post-Transfuser? What are your plans? What can we anticipate from this? You touched a bit on expanding to multiplayer co-op. What else?
So, for us, I think this is the point where we're going to maybe leave for ourselves. We were debating whether we were going to take it further, but I think right at this stage we're just going to have the build as it is just now and use it as a portfolio piece.
I see.
Each of us, and then progress into the industry ourselves. But it has, like any of the work that we've done in Transfuser, applying for jobs and likes, it has been really helpful. Myself, I've been applying places, and I feel that the fact that Transfuser's just been on the CV has been a really helpful thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a reminder in the chat, exclamation mark, name pending interactive, and you'll be able to grab the socials of the team and find out more about their game. And maybe their futures games, yeah, why not?
Maybe.
maybe. Yeah, I think you have an extremely solid project at your hands, and it's sort of touching on that target market, which has been blowing up lately, which is just fun with friends, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got stuff like Among Us now, with a whole bunch of others.
Yeah.
It's sort of, you've got the AAA scene, which is obviously it's great itself, but there's definitely a market space there for people that just want to go online and just have fun for a couple of minutes with pals. And it was definitely for us. We wanted a focus on these shorter play sessions. We didn't want to have anyone have to commit for any extended period of time. It was just drop in, have some fun, and then when you're done with it, drop it and come back for another time.
Yeah, I see. So, I mean, you did very well for the time you had at your hands. I would say it's extremely well done. The gameplay is very enjoyable to watch as well. So, yeah, shout out to all the visual artists or whoever worked on that sort of things.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they've done brilliant throughout. Yeah, trying to keep a cohesive art style was maybe one of the main things, but no, they've done a brilliant job. Were you inspired by the likes of being like Overcooked for the visuals, or? Oh yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. Even in the gameplay and visuals themselves, it was an inspiration, but it was also a conscious effort to try and distance yourself from it throughout as well. Because I think you always run the risk of taking inspiration from only a single source, and then that becomes the only game you're going to get compared to.
Yeah.
I think as long as we kept ourselves open and then took inspiration from as many games as we could. But no, Overcooked, it was definitely a big inspiration for us. Yeah.
I see. Well, you certainly made it yours. It's a unique game with some similarities to certain genres, but it's a unique game. At least I haven't played a game where you can pack a ghost into a box and throw it into a van.
I think a lot of these designs just sort of came from us sitting and chatting. What if we put it in a cardboard box and throw it in a van? You go, yes, let's do that.
The what ifs became the best ideas.
Yeah, it was just, we were going for this sort of wacky sense of humour to it, and it allowed us to just sort of approach this with every and any idea. Yeah, the good ones just sort of stuck around.
You did an amazing job. Anything else? Just last few words. You have to the chat. You can shout out your team. Go for it. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, so let's say we're name pending the platforms. Let's say thanks to James, Jack, Christina, and Veronica, my team for helping create this. Yeah, check us out and hope you enjoy.
Awesome, wonderful. Thank you so much for the interview. It was wonderful to have you on, and it was great to see your game as well. Great job on that.
Thank you.
Okay,
Cheers for that then.
take care. Right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you guys so much. I'm saying it like we are ending. No, we are definitely not even close to finishing this stream. There is so much content ahead of us, and I'm gonna be back with the next team in about 5-10 minutes. So stick around, go grab some tea, some snacks, and we'll be right back. 5-10 minutes.